Hello everyone and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass, sponsored by SimQuips. And here we are tonight with round 6 of the series here at the Donington Park Raceway. As our Porsche Cup class take to the track to start their qualifying session, they will have 10 minutes to set the fastest time that they possibly can around this windy circuit up in the north of England. And it is our current championship leader in the cup class, Mr. Sergi Sebastian, who is currently leading the way, or I should say leading the pack in qualifying. No one yet to set a lap time, just doing their outlaps here, doing a little bit of tyre prep as we get underway to dive into the first hot lap of the session. Sergi Sebastian runs out wide, take the sweeping line, late apex, best possible run he can, down onto the start-finish straight, and we'll jump on board with Sergi for our opening lap of the session. As he looks to help up in apex, slightly wide of the curb there. Getting his eye in on this opening lap, should have good time here for a reasonable number of flyers for each of these drivers. So no pressure to get the first lap absolutely perfect. As we arc our way through up into the second sector, top of the hill. Throw it in for the blind apex. Nicely using most of the track there with a little bit of a wiggle on exit there for Sergi, just getting the power down a little abruptly. But all looks perfectly in control as we head down towards the chicane. Someone's already removed the tyre barrier for Sergi, so that won't be in his way. As he hooks up the two apexes nicely there, not scrubbing off too much speed. Into the final two hairpins here, deceptively slow corners. And depending on what sort of monitor setup these drivers are running, pretty much blind apexes here as you turn in. You have to really remember where you're trying to hook up those final two corners. And as Sergi comes to cross the line, it is a 1:28.3 is our opening salvo there from Sebastian, with Johan left trailing by just 3/10 of a second. We check in with the rest of our order. We have got Kai Banks. I believe this is a new driver to the series, or it's not someone I've seen before, so welcome, Kai. Very, very harshly attacking the circuit there. And Chris Wright, our series sponsor, currently sitting on a 1:30.960, some 2.5 seconds off the pace at the moment. Has got some pace to try and find over the next 6 minutes of this session before we unleash the BMW M2s onto the track. Right, currently running in P6 in the Porsche Cup class, in amongst it this season, and even with a podium position in class out in Barcelona, round 3 of the championship. And the reigning champion in the TCX class is Johan Leff. Is trailing Sergi Sebastian by 28 points so far in this season, but we have seen it doesn't take much for there to be a swing. And reminder to everyone who might be new to our series that we do drop the worst couple of rounds for each driver, so every opportunity for things to change around late on in the season. Actually, sorry, Johan Leff currently tied in points with the driver who is not on the track tonight. No, don't see him there. Luke Tranmer. Both Left and Tranmer tied on 302 points in the standings. And running in P5, Callum Scotland, the MCS Motorsport team. Currently running down in P8 in the standings. So as he dives into the chicane, a little tentative through that, potentially some pace to be found. Really a corner that you need to attack with vim and vigour to get the most out of it. And returning veteran champion of the Porsche Cup class, Reece Tattersall, currently P3 in our qualifying session, as looks like Callum Scotland there taking an unorthodox line into the pit lane. I don't think that was intentional. He did run headfirst into a wall. You don't tend to try and do that. Tassel has won every season bar the last of this Porsche Cup Championship. And returns to the pit lane. Currently sitting on P2 at the moment. And returning driver Gregor Michalak. Currently sitting down in P11. Is not on an improving lap at the moment. Same can't be said for Balazs Feher. With the very Miami Vice livery tonight. Sitting down in P9, improves by about half a second from that lap. As Cabrera jumps up to P4. Cabrera, I think, making his first foray into the Porsche Cups. I may be wrong there. I do apologise, but not a name I've seen for a while at least anyway. As we have Johannes Spinner running the slightly pastel looking Roxy livery by the looks of things there. The aptly named Pink Menace. Hope it's Spinner by name and not Spinner by nature. I'm sure that joke's been made many a time before. And we have John Sawyer currently sitting P6 in the timings at the moment. Currently P7 in the overall championship standings. A joint on 232 points with Chris Wright. And both of them just 1 point behind Callum Scotland, so it's up to any of the three of them to try and creep their way into the top top five, but they are some way off the top four positions there, with P2 being a very tightly fought contest in this championship and one we will keep an eye on. As Matthias Peltzer, returning this season to the Porsche Cup class, was a strong contender last season in the BMW M2s, was a regular fighter for podiums and wins. In the end, losing out to Chat's very own Andy Hudson. And yes, I am reading the chat. There's Cabrera, some 0.3 of a second up. on this lap, looking to challenge those in front of him, though it looks like Sergio Sebastian putting down a time that no one is able to match. Only driver so far to dip into the 127s, and doing so by a couple of tenths of a second is really thrown down the gauntlet here as Cabrera comes to cross the line and does take P2 away from Johan Leff. A solid final attempt there by Cabrera. There's just Callum Scotland who's looking to improve. I suspect has dipped into the pit lane, repaired the front of that car, at least I would have hoped so. Yep, looking brand new after its unfortunate liaison with an Armco barrier. As foot to the floor, should improve in position, and he does, up to P8 for Callum Scotland. And that is our grid for Porsche Cups as Latz rounds the final corner. And we'll go on board with Latz for the first run of BMW M2 TCX class. A very different beast from the Porsche Cup. It's looking like arms full of understeer going through the first corner as we come down into the Craner curves. Climbing the hill towards McLean's. Slightly wide of the apex. These M2s do take a little while to get the heat into their tyres, so we'll probably be a couple of laps before we see the fastest times coming out of these machines. As Latz taking a huge amount of apex curb there, going through Coppice at the top of the hill. As we come down towards the S's, going to be a lot of curb usage here in the M2. Barely notices a thing as it hops its way through the chicane. Still think there's a little bit more in it, that chicane, as that's approaching a little bit of traffic on the outlap ahead, but shouldn't interfere. He chucks it in for the final apex. A little bit compromised on exit there. Unfortunate there for Latz, but puts in a benchmark for the time being. 1:41.1, and that is rapidly beaten by Magnus Mortensen. 1:40.9, setting the time for now. As Connor Bell by 1:42.7, already finding time on this follow-up lap. As we can see more and more times coming in. As for Boda, the driver currently P2 in the BMW M2 standings. And towards the end of his first lap of the session. Through the final corner he goes. And looking like a decent lap here from Svoboda, and it is a 1:40.5. So setting the pace so far is Svoboda, as Latz on an invalid lap at the moment won't be able to respond this time around. There's Marco Lorenzo running the no practice gang livery. Was a more common livery in our earlier seasons. I think some people maybe try harding a bit too much for this livery now. As Lorenzo finding plenty of time in this lap, is some 4 seconds off the pace of everyone else. I say of everyone else, of the leader, but Lorenzo finding plenty of pace and should be able to get themselves towards the faster end. Lorenzo has shown some pace in previous races, so I suspect just potentially a new track for them. You know, they are capable of more. As Svoboda coming towards the end of another lap. Oh, I think just going outside of track limits there through the S's and will not get a chance to improve. Was looking like they were on a better lap, but won't get a chance to complete this one. As Magnus Mortensen comes up through Coppice, ready to descend the hill towards the S's. Needs to find 4/10 of a second. They want the chance of challenging Svoboda for that pole position with just 3 minutes 40 seconds remaining on the clock. Going to have a time for a few more laps at least. And just throwing away a little bit of time there through the first of the hairpins. Doesn't look like it's going to be a better lap from Mortensen unless they really hook up this final corner. It's a good exit, but that mistake through the first of the hairpins means it's not an improvement for Mortensen. As Ato Kalaskan finding some pace on this lap. And doing a solid job on their second attempt at this. Finding plenty of time. Just needs to hook up a decent final corner. This could be a good lap. Kalaskan. They cross the line. Oh, it's a 1 minute 40.645. Just 1.5 tenths off of Svoboda. Currently sitting on provisional pole position. As we check back in with Mortensen. And is that a wild Harold Kakelmeyer I can see up ahead? It is indeed. And sitting down in P35 is Kakelmeyer. You can spot that livery a mile off. And this is looking like a really solid lap from Mortensen. Also keeping half an eye on the timing for Kalaskan as well. Also on a real flyer at the moment. We come into the dying minutes of this session as Kakelmeyer getting right out of the way. Mortensen looking up the final corner. A decent exit as they come down towards the line. It improves up to P2 in class with 1:40.582, just 0.08 of a second off of the time set by Svoboda. As we check back in with Kalaskan, he is on an improving lap here. And going to avoid the traffic ahead. So it looks like Renzon will be clear. And out of the way before Kalaskan gets there. As he crosses the line. Just now 0.03 of a second off of Svoboda. It is a tight fight for pole position in the TCX class, separated by just 0.08 of a second. Our top three. And this is going to come down to the final laps for these three drivers. As Hookstad also looking to join the party up front. Has got some traffic up ahead, but that traffic might be providing just a little bit of a tow for him down this back straight. He dives his way through the S's. This is looking like a solid lap from Hookstead. But slightly deep into the hairpin. Could this be a late contender for pole position? Driver with just a C-class license and 1,700 Pitskill. It doesn't matter Hogstad takes the flag with a 1:39.987, smashing the time set by Svoboda by a whole half a second. I'm not sure if anyone's got a response to that one. First to attempt it will be Kalaskan, who crosses the line. No improvement there, still just 0.3 of a second behind Svoboda. With just 2 corners to go. Oh, and just a little too exuberant round the final corner there from Svoboda. It was looking like it was on for a challenge. In the end, 0.3 of a second the difference. And it is pole position in the TCX class for Hogstad. So a reminder to all of you, our top 3 in both of our classes. In the Porsche Cup class, we have got Sergi Sebastian on pole position, followed by Cabrera and Leff. And in the BMW M2 TCX class, we have got Hogstad, Svoboda and Kalaskan. And as our drivers ready themselves up for tonight's race, a reminder of the format we have for you tonight. It is a 30-minute race with 1 mandatory pit stop, mandatory refueling, with a 25-second fixed refueling time, but no need to change your tyres if you do not want to. So we may see some different strategies coming out from some of our drivers, depending on how hard they're going to be pushing their tyres tonight. So, as we get ourselves ready to start tonight's race and start the formation lap, we have just a bit of time to go through our running order for tonight's race. On pole position, running the pit crew livery, we have got Sergi Sebastian. He will be starting next to the baby blue of Avero Cabrera. In P3, reigning champion Johan Leff starts alongside the P4 driver and the driver with the livery that is most determined to try and get this channel and this series demonetized. It is Reese Tattersall with the Cock and Cleary Brewery car. In P5, we have got Kai Banks, and he will be starting alongside John Sawyer, who, for confusion's sake, seems to have changed his livery for tonight's race. In P7, we have got the Miami Vice livery of Balazs Fahir, who has, for some ungodly reason, gone and painted his windows. That is something we do not like to see. And in P8, we have got Callum Scotland. P9, in the, which one is this? SimQuips livery. There's too many Quips liveries on this track. Well, not tonight, but usually. Tonight this is SimQuips for Matthias Peltzer, and he'll be starting next to the SimQuips of Chris Wright. In P11 is Gregor Michalak starting alongside Nitro in that ever so familiar Linux liveried car. Sonic Kinger is starting in P13 in that lovely fire livery with Alex Kesa in the BinQuips livery. Actually, I am right. There are too many of these things on the track tonight. Johannes Spinner running that pale Roxy livery is starting alongside Jakub Borovic in a, well, the rarely spotted plain carbon car. Jano Brishnik is in P17 alongside Hef Martin. Gert Andre Hogstad is leading our TCX class, starting in P19 with Svoboda starting in P20, second in class. Kalaskan starting in P21 with Magnus Mortensen starting in P22. P23 is our championship leader, Lat, who was missing out in contention for that pole position, and will have their championship under threat tonight. Severin is in P24 with Fusa in P25. In P26 is Rondon alongside Thierry. Bell is in P28 with Flint in P29. Our lead commentator here at Pitskill, Benjamin Odin Vedvik, is in P30 with Anthony Victor Chappelle in P31. In P32 is Evan Fraser with Arminsky in P33. Mark Lorenzon in P34 with Marek Karim in P35. Paul Karpov is in P36. And last but no means least is Harold Kakemeyer. And that is our running order for tonight's race as we catch back up with Sergi Sebastian to take us around the final corner. Get this race underway. As the lights go green, and wait, green flag waves, it is Sergi Sebastian with a good start here as Johan Leff diving up the inside of Cabrera. We've got movement up and down the field as it looks like John Sawyer has made his way past Reece Tattersall, as well as Balazs Faye here also trying to get past Tattersall at the start. As we come down through the Craner curves, Sergi Sebastian continues to lead the way in the Porsche Cup class as Johan Leff looking to attack. Will he make the move up the inside into McLean's? Sergi Sebastian leaving the space, not wanting to get involved in an incident. As we head up towards Coppice, Sergi Sebastian still leading the way, but Johan Leff all over his tail. In the background, looks like Reece Tattersall has managed to make up that position. Back on John Sawyer. Actually, John Sawyer disappearing down the order. Not sure what's happened to Sawyer there. And as we come up into the hairpins for the first time of asking, it is Sergi Sebastian who leads the way with Johan Leff and Cabrera. As we check in with our TCX class, Hogstad continues to lead the pack ahead of Zaboda and Mortensen. That's hanging on to their coattails, as well as the entire class separated pretty much by less than a second. There's some close racing coming out of both of our classes here tonight, as we find Balazs Faye here in his usual position at the head of the train as he's got the Quips cars bearing down on him. Matthias Peltzer and Chris Wright. We come down through the Craner curves. Balazs Faye here nearly lifting two wheels off the floor as he sends it down through the Craner curves and sends it a little bit too hard into the old hairpin, and he's off onto the dirt and losing plenty of positions because of it. And as he's joining back onto the track, he's going to have another of the Quips cars for company. Balazs Faye here now finds himself down in P13, and one very costly mistake there, as another costly mistake for oh, please don't say it is. It is. It's Johannes Spinner. I don't think I need to say anything else. There's Alvaro Cabrera defending P3 from Reece Tattersall as they come down towards the first of the hairpins. Tattersall breathing down the neck of Cabrera ahead. Johan Leff and Sergi Sebastian getting themselves each a little bit of breathing room. Behind Matthias Peltzer now, with a bit of clean air in front of him after Balazs Faye here disappeared off into the dirt. He's dragging along Chris Wright, Michalak and Nitro. As we head into the third lap of the race. And I was going back to see a battle, but actually it looks like Grace Scotland falling off the back of the the Porsche Cup field as Svoboda runs wide there, and that has given the position over to Thierry. As Latz has also made his way up into the 2 in class, so I'm not sure what's happened there to Kalaskan. Is there anything on our race control there for the number 1-2-2 car. Nope, nothing that I can see. So, got Andre Hogstead with a considerable lead over Latz. And Thierry some 2 seconds back from Latz as well. Looking comfortable in the top 3 of the TCX class for now. As Svoboda and Flint going side by side. As they head their way up to McLean's. Jules Flint up into P21. This is P4 in class. And Svoboda not giving this one up. Going to look up to the inside of Koppis. Hard on the brakes. Svoboda taking the apex, and Jules Flint running himself out of dirt there. Off onto the gravel. And losing 3 positions for a slight error. With these cars running so close together, a small mistake like that can be supremely costly. As Rhys Tattersall has made his way up into P3 past Cabrera. Cabrera still hanging on for now, just half a second back as we head down into the old hairpin. Things are starting to spread out a little bit in our TCX class. Couple of close battles, but mostly gaps between our four-wheel drivers here. It's really down in the TCX class where things are close, and well, not so close as Svoboda dives into the pit lane. A very early stop there for Svoboda, looking to get himself out of traffic and into some clean air, I would expect. Knows he has the pace around this track, just needs to give himself the space to exploit it. So we'll see how that early stop pays off for him. Down in the class, we've got some battles brewing over P5 with Flint. After his earlier excursion off into the dirt, holding a position ahead of Fusa, Arminsky, Wodrum, Riznik, Vedic and Mortensen, as Mortensen had himself quite far down the order as well. 313 car, also don't see anything on the race control panel for that either, so not sure what's happened down here. But finds himself with a friend, Mortensen and Vedvik, and Fraser indeed, all running the same livery here. So this battle is not going to be confusing if I look away from the screen, not one bit. Checking further up the order, and the driver currently holding the fastest lap of the race, Rhys Tattersall, currently sitting in P3 and trying to bear down on Johan Leff, getting a little bit out of sorts there, coming through Koppis, and some of these places on track are going to be very hard to let the traffic go. And that unfortunate timing there for Tattersall has allowed Leff to pull a 2.5 second gap over Tattersall, and has now brought Cabrera back into the battle. As John Sawyer looks to make his way up past Nitro through the chicane. Nicely done there by Sawyer. We'll see how he set that move up. Side by side as they come down the long back straight, door-to-door stuff. And I think just as they're picking their way through the back mark of traffic, Sawyer jumping on the opportunity, gets himself up into P10 in the race. As Hogstead now finding himself under pressure. He's got Latz breathing down his neck as Balazs Fahit dives into the pit lane as well after his early excursion through the dirt. This battle then for the lead of the TCX class, and Latz, I think he's got a bit more confidence in his approach through the chicane. Perhaps Hogstead able to run a different, or confident to run a different line through qualifying, where track position isn't as key, but in the race doesn't want to risk a spin, and as such is losing out a little bit to Latz, I think, through that section of the track. They come nose to tail. Hogstead looking to gain a little bit of a slipstream off of the Porsche Cup car up ahead. Every little bit of advantage he can get at this point in the race. as they come down through the crane of curves. Stuff at Klinger has got John Sawyer and Nitro for company. Seems like Nitro is being able to grab onto the coattails of Sawyer and has been dragged along into this battle. Klinger seemingly struggling a little bit, does seem to have a little bit of damage on that car, at least on the back. Not sure if he's been involved in an incident with another car. Well, actually no, from this angle it doesn't look like he has damage, so no, my mistake. Just maybe struggling a little bit with the rear of the car anyway. As Sawyer thinks about a move around the outside, would have been optimistic, but in the end just opens up the corner nicely for Sawyer. Will have good pace for the crane of curves, but not an opportunity to send one alongside. Not in these cars, as Sawyer all over the back of Klinger now, and that's Sawyer up into P8, and Nitro through as well up into P9 as Klinger drops down 2 positions through just as many corners. Good close battling by the 3 of them there, and Klinger now will look to compose himself again and see if he can maintain the pace of the 2 ahead. Clearly coping a little better at this point in the race. And seeming like Latz has got the advantage here in race pace over Hogstad. Hogstad did show that he was supremely quick during qualifying, and mistake there from Hogstad. Going to compromise him on the run down through the crane of curves, but again, as I said, not really a place where you can put a car alongside unless you get it along there early. But Hogstad not being overly punished for that mistake, but that will make him nervous, as it doesn't seem like Latz making as many mistakes, and he just can keep his consistency, put on some real pressure. But one driver we mustn't take our eye off of is, I actually can't remember who it is now. It is I thought there was a BMW. Svoboda. It is Svoboda who is pitted. Made a small mistake earlier, but has been able to run in clean air quite a while. Hasn't been battling like these two have, and that might see him come back into contention by the end of this race. As we're seeing more and more drivers dive into the pit lane as we approach the halfway point of this race, and our race leader Sergi Sebastian is catching up to this battle as he sends his way through. That's looking for a way to peek through and bails into the pit lane. But with the lapping traffic catching up, Hogstad now maybe having to compromise his own pace a little bit to allow the faster cup cars through. This could be the advantage Latz has been looking for. Really going to be up to Hogstad to push on this lap and try and come out of the pits with his lead maintained. We'll check back in with that one later on. We've got Rhys Tatzel making his way up the inside of Borovic. Make our way through the first of the hairpins, and Borovic, a little bit too eager on the throttle there going through the hairpin, and has spun the car right around and has managed to get himself back underway. He thankfully span right out of the way of the rest of the approaching cars, so shouldn't cause too much more of an incident. As Mortensen makes his way past Flint up into P20 overall, P3 at the moment, but we must remember a number of our cars in both classes have pitted already. As things settling down at the top end of the TCX field, Sergi Sebastian with a 2.5 second lead over Leff, who in turn has a 7 second lead over Carrera. Rhys Tatzel being the lead of our cars to have pitted. Currently putting in some quick laps. We'll be looking to try and challenge the cars at the front. As now, here come the Porsche Cup cars trying to pick their way through, and it is a whole bunch of chaos behind as who was that? Which car was that? Someone just hit the wall. I need to work out which car that was. Unfortunately, don't know and I can't find out. There's Mortensen. Continues to push on, is not too distantly followed by Arminsky Vedvik, and has also got Hef Martin trying to push her way through this pack, and this is allowing all sorts of chaos to unfold as a couple of the Porsche Cups on the lead lap muscle their way through. These two yet to pit, with Hef having served her mandatory pit stop already in this race. Still potentially a considerable amount to play for. Vedvik has got Lorenzon on his tail, coming down into first of the hairpins. All three of these drivers here yet to pit as Arminsky dives into the pit lane. That Flint who went into the pits sideways. I think it might have been. I don't think I'm going to be able to pick that one up though. We'll see if we can get that one later. What number car is that? 18. I'll see if I can find that later. As Vedvik getting out of the way of Reese Tattersall, who himself is on a mission. Push, push, push. As I'm not sure if there's been an incident for Sergi Sebastian. Oh, look over the last 30 seconds. I think it might have just been catching up to some traffic, which is done for Sergi Sebastian. Because that, oh, just a little too deep into the hairpin is what seems to have cost him. And this has opened this race back up. Johan Leff now right on the tail of Sergi Sebastian. We return to the action. Now the gap just at 0.3 seconds. This the battle for the lead in the race. Both these drivers yet to pit, with Reese Tattersall on a charge as well. Reese Tattersall doing quick laps at the moment as these two make their way through the S's. Down the hill we're seeing more and more of our pack dive into the pits as that is one battered and bruised looking BMW that. I wonder if either of these drivers are just going to want to get themselves out the way of this backmarker traffic as Johan Leff dives into the pit lane. Sergi Sebastian now with a mission on his hands to try and get past this traffic. We come through the Craner curves. How he picks his way through this is going to be very influential in this race, as it does seem like Latz has also emerged out of the pit lane ahead of Hogstad. So Latz making that earlier pit stop working for him. Well, that was very bad English. But yeah, Latz now ahead of Hogstad, not by too much, just less than a second at the moment. And now remains to be seen how will Latz soak up this pressure. The shoe is on the other foot now, and also That's having to yield to the back marker traffic. Slightly easier for Hochstadt to choose when he lets the cars by. As Johan Leff has emerged back out onto track. Ries Tattersall does trail him by 4.5 seconds. So it doesn't look like Ries Tattersall, at least not now, in contention. Though with just under 10 minutes remaining of this race, sorry. Never say never. Every chance for Ries Tattersall to catch himself back up, as he does currently hold the fastest lap of the race and is lapping quicker than everyone else on circuit continuously. Let's see. As Balashve hit catching up to John Sawyer. That gap at now less than a second. They hit pushing. Also have continuing battle here over the lead of the TCX class, and Thierry has joined this battle, currently running P3 in class, and this battle exceedingly close as Latz runs wide off the circuit. This is going to open an opportunity. Hochstadt just needs to pick his way through Koppis well. Seems like Latz getting himself back under control, but now Hochstadt right in that slipstream as they come down towards the S's. Is this an opportunity for a brave move for Hochstadt? Thinks better of it. Going to try and run his way through the hairpin, but yet again we're seeing that Hochstadt with just a little bit less confidence through the chicane now finds himself under pressure from Thierry behind. They're all quite tentative going through the hairpin. Thierry a little bit wide coming out of the hairpin. This battle getting very close, and a battle that might be getting closer in a minute is the one between Sebastian and Leff. Sebastian dives into the pits, currently stopped in his box. Looks like Leff stopped for 27 seconds, did not take tyres. They reached Tattersall behind, I think may have taken tyres. Was stopped in his box for 30 seconds, though would have had to have been a mighty impressive stop in the box for him to only sit still for 30 seconds with a tyre change. And as Sergi Sebastian emerges back out onto the racetrack, has emerged in front of Johan Leff. This battle for the lead is back on, with Sergi Sebastian back out in front. As we come down through the old hairpin, it is an absolute minefield of cars to pick their way through, and there's a huge crash. Johan Leff off the circuit, the two back markers there. Apologies, I'm not sure which one that is. It's one of the Quips cars. There's absolute carnage. I think that was Spinner as well in the Pale Roxy. Johan Leff now finds himself 4 seconds down on Sergi Sebastian after that incident. Seems like some of those back markers not quite aware of what was going on around them, and that is a big incident there for Johan Leff. And now finds himself being rapidly caught up by Ries Tattersall. Is there damage on that car of Leff's? Let's see. Oh, I probably didn't go back far enough to see what happened there. Let's see, for just a little bit of understeer there from Leff as well, as he got himself back underway. As we return to the battle at the front of the BMWs, also there's been a change for P2. Now those two not separated by much anymore. Thierry and Hochstadt nose to tail. Coming through McLean's up into Coppice. Hofstad taking a lot of the apex curb. They have their way down into the S's. There's also a battle in the Porsche Cup class. Michalak running almost side by side with Chris Wright as John Sawyer tries to carry a bit too much speed around the back marker traffic. And ultimately ends up off the circuit. And that has taken some of the pressure off the back of Chris Wright, who can just focus attention now on chasing down Gregor Michalak. This is the battle over P6 in the race. There's Michalak. Oh, get good opportunity to pass the back marker traffic there. Slight nudge from the BMW, but picks his way through well. And Chris Wright, getting caught up in the hairpin, has dropped back somewhat. Some of the pressure now off of Michalak. And that's the thing about this multi-class racing. It is a different skill entirely. Picking the right point to pass a car not of your class, someone who's not in your battle. And I think some of these drivers just getting a little hot-headed in some of these battles. Too focused on what they're doing. And we're seeing some sloppy moves from both classes of cars at the moment. Reese Tattersall taking a risky manoeuvre there to try and pick up a slipstream of laps. There's sometimes patience just the better part of valour, and a lot of these drivers just need to cool themselves down. They need to be aware there are other cars not of their class out on circuit, and a sloppy attacking move there from Thierry means Latz now finds himself down in P3 after that move. Sure the stewards will want to take a look at that one after the race. As seems like everyone getting a little bit sloppy out there. We're seeing I think what is interclass blue flags, as well as the intra-class blue flags, just of faster and slower cars, making this incredibly chaotic at the moment. As everyone there wanting to take an apex, it looks like. We'll see a couple more cars off the circuit. As Nitro currently running in P10 has Callum Scotland for company. And coming up upon some of the TCX class. Oh, and a little bit of a late move there from the TCX. A lot of this multi-class racing is all about car body language. Where are you going to position your car? Let the car behind you know which side of the track you want to take. Take whichever one you like, but make it clear where you're going. There's Latz now. Catching back up onto the back of Thierry as we come into the final couple of laps of this race. Sergio Sebastian still out in front in the TCX class, now leading by 5 seconds ahead of Johan Leff and Reese Tattersall, as they all make their way quite nicely in synchronicity there through the McLeans. And in the TCX class, we now have Hogstad back into the lead after the incident between Thierry in P2 and Latch just behind. That's with a gap of 0.8 of a second to Thierry, and a couple of laps left to try and do something about it. As Nitro finds himself way off circuit there. What has happened to Nitro? Oh, well, that was a little bit of a mess. I think all that started initiated with the contact between Callum Scotland and Nitro and the TCX, and ended up with Nitro very nearly making a heavy impact with an Armco barrier. There's Grigor Michalak as we come into will be the, I believe, the second to last lap of this race, with Sergio Sebastian enough time to finish the lap he's on. So Grigor Michalak's going to have 2 laps to defend from Chris Wright and Balazs Faye here as they come down again through the crane of curves. It's Johannes Spinner up in front. Michalak, just about picking their way through the old hairpin. Had to take a very wide line there, and this is giving the opportunity to Chris Wright on the attack as we come up the hill towards McLean's. It's Chris Wright on the outside. As Grigor Michalak looks to defend the inside. Balazs Faye here is right up with them as well. As Sergio Sebastian actually coming out of the final corner now to take the checkered flag. So I got my maths wrong. That is the end of the race. As Johan left crosses the line to take P2 and Rhys Tattersall to take P3. We'll return to this battle over P6 as it rages on. Looking like actually the closest battle is between Chris Wright and Balazs Faye here as they come down the hill into the Melbourne hairpin. Balazs Faye here getting the rear all out of sorts, and I think this has allowed Chris Wright to hold on to P7. Grigor Michalak comes across the line P6. Both having to avoid the back of Harold Kakelmeyer, so it's Michalak 6, Wright 7, and Faye here in 8. And down in the TCX class, got Andre Hogstad taking first place, Latz taking P2 in the end, and Thierry P3. Svoda just missing out on the podium position there, coming home in P4. And it will be Kalaskan bringing it home in P5. Oh, that was a action-packed race of some good action, some not so good action, I think we'll call it. But either way, all very enjoyable to watch. And again, congratulations to our podium finishers in both of our classes. In the Porsche Cups, that was Sergio Sebastian, Johan Leff and Rhys Tattersall. And in the BMW M2 TCX class, that was Hogstad, Latz and Thierry. And that brings us to the end of round 6 of the championship. We return to us next week when we'll go to Zandvoort for round 4. And do tune in on the pitskill.io YouTube channels and Twitch channels, where the rest of our series will be broadcast by various commentators. And do tune in on Wednesday when the VIP Trophy Challenge will be broadcast. That is our flagship series. And do, of course, head on over to pitskill.io to get all of your racing needs on ACC. We've got races from all manner of car class. So do head on to the referral link down in the description below. Get yourself signed up and get on the grid. And all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this stream, please do like and subscribe. And we will switch over very shortly to check out the highlights from this race. So I must say, apologies if you don't like the song that is playing behind the highlights tonight. You have Benjamin Odin Vedvik to blame for that, and yeah, if his description is to be believed, he made it with a little help of some AI, and well, I've apologised already, so here you go.